All right, welcome to Keep Sane. This particular episode, we'll call it well, it's really number two. Number one was more of a intro than an actual bit of information, but I guess add a little bit about me. So we'll call this number three. We're mainly just going to talk football, not like specifics or anything. Just season's about to start. I don't do fantasy football anymore. I've done it a couple times. I get a bit obsessed with my lineup and waste too much time. Um, for no reason. And honestly, I'm such a fan of the normal game of football. I don't care. I don't need a reason to watch. But my problem that I'm kind of having is when I was younger, when I played, forever ago and not at a level that matters. But like I was a lineman, offensive lineman primarily, and holding used to mean any closing of the hand, anything outside of the shoulder, like the interior of the shoulder pads. And it made sense because anything else you were kind of holding on or you were manipulating their shoulders. Um, but nowadays, I don't get holding. It's hands are outside the shoulders. They're turning the player. You can see them lifting up on the pads. It's like I get defensive linemen are bigger, faster, stronger, all that stuff, but it doesn't make any sense to me as to why holding changed. Like football always finds a way, and athletes always find a way to get better or to adjust. So if defenders are getting faster, offensive coordinators need to adjust. I like a high scoring game. Yeah, it's entertaining, but I also like a really good defensive game. Um, and I don't feel like padding the offensive rules helps the game. Watching guys get turned and held on by their shoulder pads, you can see it. Like you could throw a flag on every play based on the way guys are allowed to hold, and it drives me nuts. Like I tried to teach my oldest before he quit playing football how to block. I was his line coach for a couple years. Poor kid. Um, but yeah, it was you were taught to keep it inside. You drive with your hands, you win with your feet, stuff like that. You didn't have to grab on. Um, that's how you knew you got beat. If you had to go outside and lose position and all this other stuff. It's just frustrating. You watch, these guys get held every play, and it's like that's holding. But apparently, by new standards, it doesn't seem to be. That's just that one. So yeah, this first little run is going to be gripes about rules, I guess. Offensive push off by receivers, see it a ton. Almost never called. I can't say never because I have seen it a few times, so it's obviously not a never happens, but barely any. I mean, to the point where I feel bad for corners. I don't know what would possess anybody to be a cornerback, other than if you're a good one, you can get paid well because you're in such high demand. But it has more to do with what the receivers can do and what you can't do as a corner. You can barely touch anybody anymore. Um, and I kind of get not interfering with the player or whatever, but it just, again, it's a one-sided rule. You see them push off and hold a lot, it's like, but when it goes the other way, it seems so one-sided. It bugs me. Um, I did play defense as well, but as a defensive lineman, so I didn't have to be good at skills and adjustments like those guys do, where everything that you do wrong is highlighted in major. You give up the catch, the big play, whatever. Defensive linemen can give up stuff, but there's so many other guys that can also make the play or whatnot that you don't get the brunt of the blame when a play goes bad. Not at least not usually. Um, that sort of stuff. I don't celebrations drive me bonkers. I get it's a game and be happy, but the little choreographed, acting out a certain, fishing or digging a hole, because they buried them, that's just being a jackass. I mean, especially when you're down 34-7 or 34-10, you made a tackle that's literally your job. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's a game and it should be fun, but to be a jackass, especially when you're losing, makes zero sense. And if you're winning, why do you need to taunt the other team? It's unsportsmanlike. Shoot, I think a couple years ago, a couple NFL players like actually got injured from their celebration. They weren't stretched right and like pulled muscles or whatever, which is funny. I mean, one was on one of my favorite teams, but it doesn't make any sense. Like, what's the point? Get a high five, do a quick celebration, get back to your huddle. I mean, you're just kind of dragging the game out. Touchdown, yeah. Do a really quick high five. You know, I was a big Barry Sanders fan. I think he took a knee if I recall, but I mean, he wasn't. He had like a really fast moment of silence or something on his knee, and then he got off the field, acted like he'd been there before, acted like he was going to be there again. One of the best statements for guys who score. If you're a defender and you score, yeah, have a tea party in there because it's going to happen so rare. Um, then go for it. Pick six. Yeah, you should be able to do a little, five-man jig or something in the in the end zone and have it choreographed. But because those are rare occurrences, they're awesome plays. But if you're a receiver and running back, you're supposed to. That's what you're there for, scoring touchdowns. And or if you're a defender making a tackle, those aren't the rare things. If a offensive guy makes a tackle and whatever tackles whomever, I guess, yeah, they should be able to do a bigger celebration without because it's not their everyday every down sort of thing. And again, I know my era, I'm nearing 40. Um, you know, Different generations. I mean, players would get benched and kicked off teams for acting like jackasses when I was younger. Um, just as much as you could yell at the players, like you can't seem to now, without getting in trouble. Um, and I get it. Players are people, but at the same time, especially as you're going up, these are kids. I mean, I'm nearing 40, which is at the end of, unless you're a kicker or quarterback who's in great shape, tends to be your career's over. Um, but most of these guys are in their 20s. So, yeah, they're kids. Making good money, have no idea what life's about yet. Well, at least most of them don't. I'm not. This is generalization, and of course, I'm talking mostly about NFL. Um, you know, I'm don't get me wrong. I'm really excited about football coming. But watching it, you see all these rookies and all these guys who might make good money, but ultimately, you look at the way the NFL's ran, and it's yeah, I get it's a business, but it's a business at the benefit, number one, of the owner, which businesses have to make money to keep going. But this business does really well. It's the most profitable, as far as I know, the most profitable sport in America to be an owner of. They're the number one rated sport in the U.S. So why, like, I don't know why players get such a bad time when they want more money. I mean, I wouldn't overplay a lot of these guys, but they're limited to how much they can make. Their career is extremely short. They're making millions of dollars for their owner, um, but they don't have choices. Like, I want the tag gone. No more tagging players. If they don't want to be there and you aren't willing to pay them what they want, let them go talk to whoever they want. I know the owners don't like that, but it's fair. I don't even like the draft. I think the draft should be a 2-year contract at most, um, and no tagging. The tag is essentially handcuffing a player and saying, well, you're either going to play for me or, you don't get to play and you're not going to make zero money. Um, it's just unfair. What if they get hurt? So especially if they're on a bad team. If you're a quarterback with a bad offensive line, there's a good chance you're done. And you don't want to play like crap because they're competitive, but the other reason is, when you're done there, you want to be able to go somewhere else and get paid. Um, I just think it's so skewed. I mean, don't get me started on the NCAA, and I mean, there should be zero requirement to go to the NFL having to play so much college. Um, but right now we're just talking NFL football because I don't follow much college for the purpose of it's too easy to be a powerhouse. There's very little parity. Yes, I know the NFL has mainly a few teams, but for the most part, those teams that win the championship and the Super Bowl, it's not the same team every year. Yes, the Patriots are there a lot. Yes, the Seahawks are there a lot. Um, but Falcons, other than a huge comeback, looked like they were going to win, and the Giants have been there. Steelers. There's a ton of teams who go in there and win a Super Bowl. I mean, my Detroit Lions haven't. Problem with becoming a Barry Sanders fan is I've been rooting for a team who can't seem to get anywhere in the playoffs. Last chance we had, the refs decided to take it away in the Cowboy against the Cowboys. But that's my own complaint, also with holding issues. Maybe that's why it's such a big deal to me. Um, but I, you know, preseason right now is funny. You have all the rookies, you have all the hype. You know, the rookie quarterbacks and backups. Get to go against second and third stringers, looking pretty good, and all of a sudden, oh, when are they going to start? It's like that's a pretty quick jump. Bears primarily with the Trubisky and I can't pronounce his name. I don't know why. I always think there's an N in there, and I don't think there is. But Glennon they paid to be a starter because of what he can do and the history he's had as a backup. Um, but the rookie has a good showing against second string, and all of a sudden, oh, when's he going to start? Get rid of Glennon. Um, it's just I don't know. The between refs and the media, it's really hard to truly follow football as much as I used to. Anyway, that's kind of my rant and raving on that. Looking forward to the actual season starting, hoping most of these guys stay pretty healthy to see what happens and not having teams go to crap because of a single injury, mainly the Raiders. Um, don't want to see Carr go back down and have them just go to crap because of losing their quarterback. I was really hoping last year to see where they were going to go. Again, almost 12 minutes. These are all, I don't really have them structured. Maybe I'll get better as time goes on, have it more organized. Um, like it's called to keep sane. It's cheaper than therapy. So, I might do 50 of these about football after watching games or whatnot, or this might be the only one about football I ever do. I have no plans for this thing. If I do this right, you also won't be able to comment. Again, because it's my therapy, I assume people think I'm an idiot on a lot of my opinions. I don't really need them voiced. I don't need anything else to need to do this about. Maybe at some point I'll change my mind, but for now, um, I'm mainly just doing this for me. So I hope at least some of you can, enjoy this and not get too annoyed. I'll try to say what the topic is at the beginning. So if you have no interest in listening about football or whatever it might be, you can skip it. So anyway, have a good one.